The woman was horrified to discover that the creature in front of her was actually her long-lost daughter, and then several more creatures crawled over, gathering around her as they affectionately stroked her face. I highly recommend this heartwarming horror movie before bed. You'll definitely sleep well after watching it. The story takes place 2 days earlier, when Lisa and her boyfriend traveled to a remote cabin in the mountains for a vacation, a spot that was extremely isolated. Through the window, Lisa saw another cabin in the woods not far away, and George told her that was his cousin Darren's house, adding that Darren had grown up with him but was introverted and had lived in seclusion here for years, refusing to interact with the outside world. In the afternoon, Lisa went into the bathroom, exhausted from the day's journey, and accidentally fell asleep in the bathtub. In a half-asleep state, she felt like someone was watching her, but when she opened her eyes, she didn't notice a heart symbol had appeared on the glass behind her. Yet when she turned around to look, the symbol had mysteriously disappeared. After nightfall, as Lisa and her boyfriend were about to enjoy a romantic evening alone, a series of urgent knocks on the door shattered the peace. It was cousin Darren, who had come to visit with his girlfriend Minka. Darren was drunk, rude in speech and behavior, and kept talking about childhood memories as soon as he entered the house, nothing like the introverted person he was said to be. Before leaving, Darren whispered mysteriously to George to stick to the plan tomorrow and not mess it up. After Darren left, Lisa asked about the plan, but George brushed it off, saying it was just drunken ramblings. Lisa thought it was a bit odd, but didn't dwell on it. Early the next morning, George said there was an emergency surgery at the hospital and he had to rush back immediately. He left Lisa alone in the cabin and drove off. Bored, Lisa used binoculars to watch Darren's cabin, only to see a terrifying sight, a garbage bag containing Minka's head, making her tremble with fear instantly. But when she mustered up the courage to look again, there was nothing there, as if everything had just been her imagination. Just then, there was a knock on the door. It was Darren, who brought a bottle of wine and said he wanted to catch up with George. Lisa hadn't recovered from her earlier terror, so she made up an excuse that George wasn't there and tried to get Darren to leave, but he refused to go and insisted on coming in for a drink with her. Afraid of angering him, Lisa had no choice but to open the door, then lied and told him to find glasses first while she ran upstairs to the bathroom and quickly locked the door from the inside, thinking Darren would get bored and leave. Meanwhile, Darren went into the kitchen, found a kitchen knife, and quietly headed upstairs. Lisa pressed her ear against the wall, listening carefully to the sounds outside, when suddenly a terrifying sound of bones cracking came from outside the door, followed by complete silence. After a long time, when Lisa cautiously stepped out of the bathroom, the house was empty. She searched everywhere but couldn't find Darren, only finding his watch in the kitchen sink. Just as Lisa was still in shock, a woman with a plastic bag over her head suddenly appeared behind her, gestured a heart shape to Lisa with her hand, and then disappeared bizarrely the next second. Just as Lisa was on the verge of a mental breakdown and trying to leave, George returned. Lisa screamed and told him everything that had happened, begging to leave this terrifying place immediately. George gently comforted her, checked the entire house, and then announced that everything was normal, finally attributing everything to her hallucinations. Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Strange things had been happening one after another since she moved in. She went into the bathroom and found an old photo on the floor. It was a family portrait, and the male head of the family was actually George. Confronted by Lisa, George finally confessed, and in a slightly boastful tone, he slowly told a story that happened 200 years ago. One day back then, he and his cousin Darren were hunting on their family's land when they found a pregnant woman who had trespassed onto the land, dancing a mysterious dance by the stream. They saw her as an intruder, so they didn't hesitate to raise their shotguns, and the woman fell to the ground after being shot. The two brothers dragged the dying woman back to the pig pen and imprisoned her, and that night, the woman gave birth to several children in extreme pain. When the brothers went to check again, the pig pen was covered in blood and animal limbs, and the woman's children were nowhere to be found, only she remained lying on the ground. Terrified, they realized the woman was a witch and pointed their guns at her head. But before dying, the witch made a terrifying deal with the brothers. She would grant them immortality, and in return, they had to act as guardians to take care of the monsters she had given birth to. Furthermore, every 10 years, they each had to sacrifice a woman to the monsters. Darren's girlfriend Minka had been eaten by the monsters last night, and today, Lisa would be sacrificed to them. George couldn't bear to watch her be eaten, so he had made up an excuse to leave, and Darren's visit today was also his arrangement. Darren was supposed to kill Lisa with a knife and feed her to the monsters.